This video was recorded live before a canned studio audience. It's Friday Night Movie Reviews, and here they are, Chris and Keith. Welcome once again to another episode of Friday Night Movie Reviews. Tonight we're going to be reviewing another movie for you, and this movie is called
Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
The Mummy, not to be mixed up with any of the other billions of mummy movies that have been made.
Yeah, and just a straight disclaimer for the audience. Repeat, this is not a Brendan Fraser mummy movie. Please do not go see this if you're thinking that Brendan Fraser, this is part of that franchise. It is not.
You will not. I promise you, you will not see not even a cameo appearance of Brendan Fraser in this movie. All right, so let's get down to the basic premise of the movie and what it was about. You have this family. They're living in Egypt, and the father is he's like an investigative reporter. And so he's doing his job. And of course, he talks with his hands. So he has like this thing where he talks with his hands, but that never comes up in the movie except once. So don't worry about that. But what ends up happening is their daughter ends up becoming kidnapped and is missing. And they move back to the United States and they live with the wife's mother. And then suddenly they get a phone call that the daughter has been found.
After 8 years, yeah.
After 8 years. And apparently she was placed in some type of 3,000-year-old sarcophagus. Now, that's all we're really going to say about this movie, because if you want to go and see this movie, then you're going to have to get the rest of the information for yourself, unless you want to spoil it.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, there's not really that much to spoil about this movie. Other than maybe who or who doesn't die in it. If you're really looking for a movie with substance or like great acting or great character development, you really need to look elsewhere.
Right.
This is a straight up gross factor horror movie, rated R for language, for gross out scenes,
for innuendo.
Yeah. So if you're squeamish at all and have little kids, do not bring your little kid to see this.
Do not. If you, I said this when we left the movie. Anybody who does what they did whenever my wife and I went and saw Scream 7, if you take your kid to see this movie, DFACS and the cops should be standing outside the theater to take your kid away. And we'll get into a little bit of that later on.
Yeah, luckily in our showing, there was no little kids in the theater. It was all adults.
So do not take your kids to see it. If you get this on Blu-ray to add it to your horror or gross out collection, do not let your kids watch it. We'll get into more of that later.
But yeah, if you're a gore hound and love gore, love gross out, this is the movie for you.
Yep.
Because it has little to no substance to it whatsoever.
Right.
This movie is The Mummy in name only.
Right.
It has literally nothing to do with a mummy at all. This is a possession movie wrapped in a wrapping inside of a sarcophagus, but it is not a mummy movie.
Right, exactly. Hold on a second.
So that's probably the biggest takeaway as far as my impression of the film. This was clearly directed by Lee Cronin, who directed Evil Dead Rise, the last Evil Dead movie that came out of the time of this recording.
Right.
He and from what we know about his other films, he is the gross out king, or trying to be. So this is becoming his specialty for gross out moments. And I will say that he has great timing. The one positive I can say,
as far as gross out moments go, and yeah, some of the jump scares and the creepiness factor of it in some instances, yes, was right on point. But yeah, like you were saying, if you want a gross movie, just a movie that's going to make you sick at your stomach, then this is the one to go see.
Yeah. It's clearly a blatant ripoff of The Exorcist, but poorly done. It's
The Exorcist / Evil Dead.
Yeah. The last, he says the last half, I say the third act, is very Evil Dead. It screams it at the end. There's,
right.
nothing mummy at all. You get like two little sandstorms in the film. There's one scarab, one scorpion.
Right.
I'm sitting there like counting. I'm like, okay, can this have to do with a curse?
What's
or...
Mummy like about this movie?
That's
Except
it.
that she was in a 3,000-year-old sarcophagus. Okay, so I'm going to get into some points about this movie. I'm just going to tell you straight up, I did not like this movie. I didn't like it at all. And I'm going to give you several reasons why. Number one, this movie has a scene in it. This is what you have to understand. Not only is this movie gross, but this movie is deeply, deeply disturbing on several levels. Deeply disturbing on sexual levels. It's deeply disturbing on spiritual levels. It's very deeply disturbing on social and moral levels. It is just a deeply disturbing movie, and I cannot in any way suggest that you see this movie or that you buy this movie and add it to your collection. I just can't. I did not like this movie. I regretted going to see it. I regretted taking my wife to see it. It was intensely terrible in that respect. There is a scene, and I'm going to go ahead and spoil this. There is a scene where they actually show how old was she? 8?
She was
7.
Yeah.
She was 7.
When they abducted her, yeah.
A 7-year-old girl being tortured. Being tortured and possessed by this thing. I'm just going to go ahead and spoil that right out.
Yeah, because I remember me and you turned to each other like, oh yeah, they're not going to show us that part of the tape. They're going to turn it off. No, they
and
actually
leave it to the imagination. We were like, hey, they know what? That's the best part. But no, they
went ahead and did it. Yeah,
they ended up showing it.
Yeah, if you think they're going to do something in this movie, they are.
They are.
They're absolutely. The only thing that didn't happen was the little girl didn't just straight out do like Reagan acts that were very adult, like in The Exorcist. She was like one step from doing that.
Yeah.
There was one suggestive thing that she said to her
brother.
And
you want to come help me undress?
Like, yeah.
What?
And
you're 17. He's what, 15 right now?
Yeah, and he's your brother. Like,
and that's your brother?
I'm just like, that didn't need to be in this.
No, it was terrible. It was terrible. That's just those two things that we just told you, that's just the tip of the iceberg of what you see in this movie and what you hear in this movie.
Yeah, they purposely tried to make you cringe in this movie. It was to make you uncomfortable. And
they did, and it was very uncomfortable, but it was so uncomfortable to the point that I cannot suggest that you go and see it. Anybody. The low ratings that it's getting, and the criticism from the critics that it's getting is very well deserved.
And normally I get kind of like mixed reviews, like, because I watch a lot of the reviews before we do ours.
Right.
And universally, everybody was panning this movie. And normally I get kind of like ups and downs with it, but nobody was suggesting to go see this. One of the ones he says, I'm going to forget this T-1 minute after this review's over.
Exactly.
I mean, it's so just looking at, besides the reprehensible things that you mentioned in it, it's so derivative of other movies. It's clearly like, I'm going to take this from The Exorcist. I'm going to take this from Evil Dead.
Yeah, it's a hodgepodge of a bunch of stuff just thrown in together and mixed up.
Nothing original.
No.
So it lacks in that creativity. Like I said, the only positive I can say about it is he does have perfect timing as far as like when he wants a gross out moment. I will say that.
Now, cinematically, okay, yes. In that regard, and in the writing portion, I can give you that.
Yeah.
I can say that it does have a redeeming quality for me. That family. A lot of people are talking about the bad acting and stuff like that. That family.
They seem like a family to me.
It was that was, I mean, if you have a 7-year-old kid that just comes up missing, then it's you're gonna be that way. They were distraught and
They were, and
it came out. That did come out in the movie. That's the only brilliant part of the writing that was in that movie.
I mean, they legitimately seem like real parents, like
Right.
real family. Like
Right.
the way they were acting, they were blaming each other for
Yeah,
what happened,
yeah.
and you could feel the tension between the two of them, because I know that one of the criticisms was his acting ability or whatever, the guy
Right.
that plays the husband.
But he lost his 7-year-old little girl.
I mean,
you
know, and a lot of these reviewers, I don't think a lot of them are married or have kids, so they don't come from that experience
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
And it's just like, you try to put yourself in that character's shoes. Like, how would you do suddenly your daughter was abducted, and then you get her back 8 years later and she looks how you
Right.
see in the previews?
Right, exactly.
I mean, I would be a mess.
But
I
the
don't even
one-
have kids. Like,
one of the biggest criticisms that we had straight on in the movie was, what in the world is she doing home?
yeah, and luckily,
I mean, it's like Lee Cronin had no idea how the medical field works. There is no way on God's green earth, no way in heaven, no way in the flames of hell that the medical field, any doctor would have let that little girl go home.
well, and two, I saw one of the reviewers, they were talking about like how awful the hospital looked when they were in Egypt. That's really an insult to Egyptians, because that like
Right.
Cairo's like the main city in
Right.
Egypt. That they've got like state of the art medical stuff, and I kind of thought that was kind of a slap in their face.
It kind of was.
And
but-
then, and two, it made the mother look really stupid because she was a nurse. And
Yeah.
it's like, she should have took one look at her daughter and like, no, she needs to
No.
be in a psychiatric hospital.
She needs to go to a hospital and be taken care of in a hospital
Because they,
of some sort.
at that point, they had no idea what had been done to her, what kind of
Right.
trauma. And I'm sorry, but like the condition of like her skin alone, like she
Right.
looked like she had sepsis. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
she looked unwell. And I mean, just so for plot reasons alone, it's just like, okay, this is stupid. Like,
Yeah, it had too many unbelievable, and I know it's a horror movie, and horror movies are unbelievable, but this was like completely and totally unbelievable, even beyond a Jason Friday the 13th level.
yeah, like, oh, what's that noise? This is clearly somebody in front of you. It's like, and I mean, I literally not just heard us, but people in the audience were like, why isn't she in a hospital?
Right.
People were saying that out loud,
Right.
like,
Why is she not in a hospital?
what are you thinking?
And then the crazy things that she was doing afterwards, after they got her home, and nobody was still taking her to the hospital.
Well, too, they said no loud noises, no abrupt, and
And the first thing they do is like
In
pull
that
her up the
wheelchair.
steps, the wheelchair.
And
Because that's the first thing you're going to do whenever you take somebody home from the hospital, is you're going to pull them up the steps backwards in a wheelchair.
yeah, and the thing that it was just, and they weren't doing it for laughs either.
No.
And it's like, this was what you would do in a comedy, not
Right.
what you would do in real life.
You are
like,
a nurse. You should know better than to pull somebody up steps backwards in a wheelchair.
that was just, oh my gosh.
I mean, it
had a lot of eye rolling moments.
but a bunch of those, but beyond all of the eye rolling moments, beyond all of that kind of stuff, it was deeply, deeply disturbing, and I cannot reiterate that enough. It was, huh?
I'm the only one like this movie.
My wife liked this movie, but I regret taking her to see it, because it was a deeply, deeply, deeply disturbing movie, and it still disturbs me. And we went and saw it Friday?
Friday,
We
yeah.
went and saw it Friday night, and it
Yeah.
still disturbs me.
It's the name of the channel, so that's
Yeah. Friday night
but
movie reviews.
yeah, but it, yeah, that alone. But yeah, I try to look at it from the 2 points of views, like we mentioned, and I try to give him the credit where it is there, but there's just a lot of it in both directions you go at is just
Right.
just not there.
Right.
So yeah, this one won't be high in hill regard, but for the gore hounds out there who don't care about substance at all, they're gonna love this movie.
Yeah, if you want to see somebody licking up embalming fluid,
Yeah.
this is your movie. If you want to see people eating deviled eggs that have blood splattered on them, this is your movie.
Defiling corpses.
Yeah, if you want to see somebody defiling a corpse, this is your movie.
Yeah, it's got all of that in there.
It's extremely disturbing. So I'm gonna give this on the acting portion, as far as the family goes, and even as far as the person goes, the girl who was playing the part of the mummy. I mean, that was the way it was written. And the actors for this, I give them a high score, but overall, I'm gonna have to give this movie probably one bucket of popcorn, maybe even that.
I'm not as mean. You're a 6, 7.
Yeah, my wife is a 7 bowls of rice.
I'm not as unkind as Keith on this because I am a gore hound. My buddy Ricky, especially, he would probably give this movie a 10. If we were talking to my buddy Ricky, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, man, this is gory as everything." That's what he would say. I would probably give this movie a 4.5 or a 5.
And
very average because I've seen
Right.
derivative of other things. And the only reason I'm giving it a 4.5 and a 5 is because of the family acting, because
Right.
she was a good villain.
Right.
I did think that she did a really good job for what it was worth. The timing of the gore, the timing of the gross out stuff, that's the only reason I'm giving it as high as I am. You're talking story, substance. No,
Yeah. That's all a moot point. And the acting and everything, yes, I would give it a higher score if I was basing it on that. But what I'm basing it on is the disturbance factor.
Yeah.
And this movie was so
and
disturbing.
that's the problem, is this movie is all spectacle, no story.
Right.
That's
Right.
what the issue is.
All right. Well, you know what? That's
A little bit long, a little bit. This
Yeah.
is more standard, a little bit longer than we had a lot to say about this one.
that's
though.
gonna be about it for us tonight.
Yep. Remember to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you for subscriptions for every one of our subscribers. Hit that bell notification for when our next video drops. Leave us a comment. What did you think of Lee Cronin's The Mummy? We'd love to hear from you. And any suggestions? Would you love us to maybe tackle doing the old Brendan Fraser movies? We'd love to do those, because those are great films. Even the third one. Obviously lower. But yeah, just let us know in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching.
Hey, listen, we've had some new subscribers join us on our channel. We thank you for that. Thank you for everybody who's joined us from TikTok as well. Listen, come and watch. I would highly suggest that you watch the review for this one before you go and see the movie anyway. Hey, you know what? Whatever movie you go see, remember, as you're sitting there, you got your popcorn and your Coke there, or let's not say Coke, your soda. You got your popcorn and soda. Enjoy your movie.